So before you get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get all the notification from our channel.
Smartphones are very smart today, and all applications of the smartphone are developing day by day. So now we need to be smart, and we need to know all about the RAM, processor and the camera, how they work and how much important they are for a smartphone. So hey, what is up guys, Shine here from Tech Community, and in this video I'm going to tell you all you need to know about the RAM, processor and the camera. So without any further delay, let's get started. So guys, the first one is RAM. So what is RAM? The full form of RAM is random access memory. Yes, it accesses the memory randomly. So what is RAM? Actually RAM makes your device more fluent when you are multitask. So the difference between the RAM and ROM, actually it's 8 times harder to create a RAM than the ROM. Yes, suppose if you have a 8GB ROM and if you have a 1GB ROM, then the 8GB ROM is equal to 1GB RAM. Many people think that they can increase their RAM by some applications, by rooting their device and by some other process. But actually in this case it's impossible to increase your RAM for your smartphone. But if you have a Mac or PC, then you can increase your RAM externally. So classifications of RAM. So you might notice that the budget-oriented device which comes under 15,000 rupees have 3 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM. But the higher device like Samsung Galaxy S8 and iPhone 7 has 3 gigs of RAM, 4 gigs of RAM or 2 gigs of RAM. So you might think that your 3 gigs of RAM or 4 gigs of RAM is equal to their 3 gigs of RAM, but actually not. So there is some variant of the RAM. We define the RAMs into 4 categories: DDR1, DDR2, DDR3 and DDR4. The devices which comes in the price tag of 15,000 are mostly come with DDR2 RAM. Yes, the DDR2 RAM are very slower than the DDR4 or DDR3. If you have a device which comes in the price tag of 30,000, it almost comes with DDR3, and more than 40,000 if you have a device like the Samsung Galaxy series S, Samsung Galaxy S8 or iPhone or my Lumia 950, then you have the DDR4. Yes, the DDR4 1GB RAM is equal to your DDR2 4 gigs of RAM. So that's why DDR4 requires very less RAM for a best performance than the DDR1 or DDR2. So how much RAM needed for your smartphone? So if I talk about the application, suppose Facebook, which comes more than 15 MB, it saves on internal memory. But when you just start your application, it takes more than 200 MB RAM. So if you have 4 gigs of RAM or 3 gigs of RAM, it will be suitable for use for the multitasking. So guys, the next one is so important, which is processor and cores. So what is processor? In some few lines, processor is a motherboard of your Android device. A processor is everything for a smartphone. When a company launches a processor, the processor has some bendings, like it supports 13 megapixel of camera, it supports HD screen, it supports eye blaster, some other things. So it cannot decide by the manufacturer of the smartphone that they give the more than 30 megapixel camera or not. It's totally depend on the processor of the smartphone. If a company says processor on their smartphone, so they have to give those features on the smartphone which is supported by the processor. So there is a variation of the processors like the RAM. Yes, the processor have some variants like dual core, quad core, octa core and some others. The dual core have 2 cores, the quad core have 4 cores and the octa core has 8 cores. More cores have more powers. So a 8 core or octa core is more powerful than the dual core processor. So if you are looking for a smartphone with good processor, I suggest you to buy a smartphone which comes with Snapdragon processors, and at least with the latest processors like the Snapdragon 630, Snapdragon 625 and the Snapdragon 435 or some others. So if you are looking for the budget-oriented device and compared to the other processors, then they have MediaTek, Exynos, Helio, Snapdragon and some others, few others. But I will suggest you to go with the Snapdragon or the Exynos. So guys, moving to the last one is camera. Many people think more megapixel equal better camera, but actually it's not. Suppose your smartphone has 20 megapixel camera and you bought this smartphone under 20,000 rupees. But Samsung Galaxy S8 and the iPhone 7, which priced more than 60,000 rupees, have just 12 megapixel of camera. So you might think that your 20 megapixel camera is better than their 12 megapixel of camera, but actually it's not. the image sensor is the main thing of a camera. And like the image sensor, the aperture, the lens, the focus speed, the ISO, everything makes a better camera. Actually, the smartphone which comes in the price tag of 20,000 of the mid-range smartphone which have 4 pieces of lens, but the higher phones like the S8 and the iPhone 7 have 6P, 7P lens and less aperture, bigger image sensor, better quality, stabilization and even more. So all these things make the smartphone camera better. So guys, hope I cleared many things about the RAM, processor and the camera. And if you have any question, please comment in the comment section below and I will give the reply. So guys, hope you like this video. If then please give a thumbs up, share with your friends, comment in the comment section below and don't forget to subscribe this channel. And I will be back with another video like this one.